Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 16. What do you have, real quick, before I say my...
I hate to put Trevor Lawrence in the category, but you got to. And I would say if we're going deep shot, which is what we're all about, I'm going to say Vinny Testaverde.
Ooh, I was going to go Arch Manning. Before we get into college football talk, are you scared of Arch Manning this weekend? Are you scared to wake up?
I don't think anybody should be scared of Arch unless you're a well drink at a bar in Austin, which he's been photographed taking parts in.
Really? I haven't seen...
I saw that on Twitter like 2 weekends ago. He was there for, Dollar Well night on Thursday nights too, which is
Getting in for the bye
wild.
week. Getting in for the bye week.
That's true.
Bye week. All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Deep Shot Podcast. Me and Caleb still holding it down. Look, Jake, if you're listening, which I hope you are, we miss you, bud. We know you're working hard and, whatever your career path or whatever, but, you got to lock in sometimes. Buy Wi-Fi for the plane, whatever you got to do. Caleb, you got anything you want to say to Jake before we get into the games?
I mean, he's doing really important things, but yeah, I know it's an hour plane ride. Why are we not paying the $12 or whatever it is just to get a little taste of some internet, dude? Let's watch something. Let's scroll on Twitter. He's not sitting there playing 2048 on the flight the entire time, I'm sure. I mean, he's got to have something occupying him. It is weird not having our third man on the podcast the last 2 times that we've tried to roll. And maybe he joins. Maybe he surprises us here later on. We'll see. We're doing this, live in the flesh. So he could just jump on the call whenever we like. But, the podcasts are shorter. I don't know if that's what the fans want. We need to maybe put that on the poll and see if they're like, okay, well, Jake rambles too much about Falcons in Georgia. But
yeah, maybe. I don't know, dude. I will say we have had less listens on the episodes Jake has not been on. So, Jake, we need you. We love you, buddy. We're rooting for you. We'll see you next week, hopefully maybe in a couple minutes here. Also, before we get into the games, just want to talk about the shirts. Update everybody on those. Those are in the middle of being processed. I am going to be sending out some emails to you. If you ordered one, just kind of keep you in the loop. We're looking to get those shipped here soon, hopefully early next week. We appreciate the patience everybody has had. We're excited to get those out to you. With that, let's go ahead and talk about some college football and NFL previews. Week 6 of college football, week 5 of the NFL. We'll have our buddy Cameron Ramsey joining us a little bit later to be the guest picker today. Packed show. I know last week when we talked about it, we said that was probably the most packed weekend we've had in terms of games. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Penn State, LSU, Ole Miss, list goes on since week 1. Week 6, I'm not going to say it competes with week 5. The top tiers of top teams, top matchups is not as prevalent as we had last week. But let me tell you, I'm really excited about what we got going on this weekend. Starts in Tuscaloosa where game day is. So let's start there as well. Vandy at Alabama. Alabama minus 10.5, over under 56.5. Let's set the stage. Bama obviously coming off a big win. This game's at 3:30 also, by the way. Same situation as last year. Just beat Georgia. Now they got to go play Vanderbilt. The only difference, now we know about Vanderbilt. No one was really thinking about Vanderbilt last year until, guess what? They beat Alabama. Now Vanderbilt's 5-0. They're a top 20 ranked team. This is the first time they're 5-0 since 2008. Who was the head coach at Vanderbilt? Who the ball knowers know?
James Franklin.
James Franklin was the head coach at Vanderbilt last time they were 5-0. Here's the thing, if we're going to look stats, Bama still can't run the ball. 108th in college football in rushing this season, and Vandy is 12th in rushing yard defense this year. Vandy is the 12th best defense in terms of stopping the run. They have over 200 yards a game themselves that they can run for. They're 18th in college football at running the football. So can that match up with, obviously the best competition they've gonna have played this year? I think you've got to think about, can Vandy get pressure on Ty Simpson? Think about last week with the Georgia game. I mean, he had all day to throw. I could have made those throws that Ty Simpson was making back there. I mean, he had all day. I could have thrown it to Caden Proctor on the screen. I could have done that all day if I wanted that. Can Bama stop Vandy on offense? Vandy is 61% on third downs this year. That is astonishing. An incredible rate. That's like Alabama the other night against Georgia rate, like getting almost all your third downs. And if Vandy wants to win this game, cover to 10.5, they're going to have to keep Bama off the field offensively because that's what's rolling for them right now. And if Bama wants to win the game, they're going to have to be able to eventually run the ball because they're going to want to hold the ball away from Diego Pavia as well. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be some points in this game. These offenses have been a little too hot to go against it. So I'm going to lean the over. I don't have this thing picked out later on, but I think Vandy can cover this 10.5. I really do. I really like what they've got going on. I'm not going to sit here and talk bad about Alabama. I think Alabama's a good team. I think Vandy's a lot better than what we're giving them credit for. And I think Vandy kind of has a lot of momentum just in the college football world right now.
I agree with you. I do have something on my slate. I'm in this game. I may have it on there twice. Still kind of like it's going to be a game time decision on the other one. But for this game, I will say that yes, everybody's aware of Vanderbilt. Now, just as you said, they're not going to sneak up on anybody. And, really, if you look at like true resume, they're probably a top. Like they should be like first team out in terms of like who they've beaten, how they played this year. And so Bama's got a real challenge in front of them. I think the difference is though is like fool me once, can't be fooled again. I'd hope at least for Kalen DeBoer, because you can say whatever you want to. The Vandy game was the beginning of the end for them last year. I mean, it was as high as I could get before they lost that game. But Bama's got to do a good job of two things to me to be able to win this game. Number one, they cannot let Vanderbilt hold the football as long as they did last year. Vanderbilt, I think, is like top 15 in the country in time of possession. They just hold on to the ball. They huddle. They try
Like
and
the third
shrink the
down.
game. Yes, and that's the second thing. They've got to get off the grass. So when they get Vandy in those 3rd and 8, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 12, whatever it may be, I just see the way that Vanderbilt plays. I think they spend a ton of time in practice on third downs because they're really good at it. And I think Bama does the same thing, by the way. And I think it's evident as to how they played this past week. Vanderbilt, if they can start getting a couple first downs, like if you look up at the end of the first quarter and it is like 13-10 or 10-7, Andy, and they are already like 4 for 5 on third down, I'd be a little nervous if I was a Tide fan personally, because look, you can say whatever you want to. I don't like the guy either. I put him as my player of the week last week because the dude can ball. Diego Pavia is a really good football player. He's a psychopath too. I don't know if you've watched Any Given Saturday, but if you just hear how he talks and how he acts and what he thinks, he doesn't make you like him anymore, but you could definitely see where his success on the field comes from. But I fully expect Alabama to be able to win this game. I don't know if they cover. So we'll see how it goes. Can't continue to play up against really good teams, though. But Bama is also coming off the biggest high of their life probably right now.
That's a huge mindset. I mean, it's the exact same situation as last year. The only difference from last year is that they were undefeated still. They've kind of already got a loss. They've got a little less room for error now going forward, and they know about Vanderbilt. They got game day. I mean, this game, think about this a year ago if I told you that Vandy, Alabama was going to be game day in 2025. Like
Insane.
before, it's not something you would think about. All right,
It fully should have been the next game we're about to talk about, by the way, in my opinion. That was what probably College Game Day was circled like. Kirk said he was going to go to Gainesville.
So let's talk about that. SEC football, Texas at Florida. Florida is plus 6.5. The over-under is low for this one, Caleb, 41.5. There's a lot of things these two teams have in common, okay? One, they're both coming off a bye week. Two, both are looking for their first Power 4 victory. Three, both quarterbacks have a lot to prove and were really overhyped in the preseason so far. And four, they both got really good defenses so far that have played really well. Some differences, Texas hasn't really played anybody other than Ohio State. Florida has obviously played a lot more quality teams, a lot more quality quarters, competition than Texas has. Both offenses are in the bottom half of the country in terms of what they do offensively. We know that, like I said, going back for a second ago, both quarterbacks have a lot to prove. Will they do it in this type of game? I have a hard time thinking so. Florida's team in general, for what they've shown us, Florida's defense is going to be able to help carry a game, especially at home in the swamp. 3:30. It's going to be rocking. Texas fans are going to travel. Florida fans want to see a win. It's two big brands. I don't see the swamp being empty on Saturday, no matter what. I really think these teams are kind of similar, though. I mean, in the way they've started the season and the way they, everything I went through, the only difference is one is 3-1, one's 1-3.
Yeah, and I would say Texas has probably got a couple more first rounders than we may have on our team, but the talent profile is not too far apart. And I know you're sitting here, it's like, what do I know ball? Yeah, I do know ball. I'm telling you that these teams, you can go and watch them. If you were to simulate their play on, I don't know, a video game, whatever you want to. I mean, these are two very similar football teams. They're pretty inept throwing the ball. They're not that great running the ball, even though they got players up front, but they are nasty on defense. I got a bunch of picks in this game that I was looking at. I love the under, even though it's low. I just don't see anybody scoring over 20 points either side. And with that being said, obviously I'm expecting this to be a pretty tight game.
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think maybe in the late Texas can maybe cover the end in the back end. But I go back to everything I just said. I think these are two teams that the defenses are going to have to be coming out strong. And I don't think Arch Manning all of a sudden has figured, maybe coming off the bye week, maybe he's had some more time to prepare. But this Florida defense, I mean, it's going to be up there with the Ohio State defense and what they gave him troubles with. You assume Florida's coming off a bye week too. You know what I mean? There's too much similarities in these for this to start just all of a sudden being the game where both offenses break out. If you ask me.
I would agree. And also too, you already talked about it, but the swamp's never empty. Florida has one of the longest sellout streaks in the country. All right. And I told you guys this on the pod a couple weeks ago. Fully expect if Billy loses this game by a big margin, he doesn't make it home with blue and orange gear on his chest.
You think if he
So
loses today, it's over?
if it's a
Or loses
blowout
on Saturday?
I think if he loses by 15 points plus, if he loses by 2 possessions, he's gone. I mean, because what else do you have left? You know what I mean? Like, if you go and look at Florida's schedule, and it's obviously disgusting for me to be able to look at this. I'm trying to hold back my nausea looking at this, but like, it doesn't get any easier. I think the easiest team left on the schedule is Kentucky. I mean, after that it'll be Mississippi State. I don't think those are easy games, and one of those is on the road. So like, we still got Ole Miss, still got Tennessee. Florida State's a lot better than we expected. Georgia, A&M got to go to A&M next week, by the way. So yeah, this is a pretty big spot for Billy. I'll be completely transparent. I don't hope for him to get fired whatsoever. I hope we win this game. I think it would be obviously big for the program, big day in Gainesville, big for recruits, all that stuff, because Texas is like trying to talk to some of our guys and get them to visit the game. And I don't want to see another Miami situation where they're down there dapping up the other team as they're scoring touchdowns in the end zone. So hoping for a good day for the Gators. We'll see. But yeah, obviously Billy has to know. You would be ignorant to think that your job is not on the line if you put out a poor performance against Texas at home, because this is probably the biggest home game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there for sure. All right, what do you got? You guys have Florida State at home this year?
We do have Florida State at home this year.
It's a big one as well.
That is a
What's
huge
good
game.
for
And Tennessee?
Florida's got to find a win in there somewhere for their 5-7 record, 4-8, 4-8, 5-7 at best. All right, let's talk about another game in the state of Florida. Miami at Florida State. We talked about game day. Apparently, remember there was rumors. There were so many Florida State pages and Miami pages that were posting that they already had game day for this planned out before, and then it didn't happen because Florida State blew it. But anyway, they did not have game day here. Miami is at Florida State in Tallahassee. Florida State is plus 4.5. Over under is at 53.5. Florida State coming off that big loss to Virginia last week. Miami coming off a bye. Last time we saw Miami was when they played Florida, won 26-7. This is Miami's first ACC game of the year. FSU still the number one ranked offense in the country, 600 yards per game. Miami's defense may be the most improved unit in college football so far. I mean, you could say from how bad and atrocious they were last year to what they've done now. They're 13th in total yards allowed, 9th in points, 5th in third down conversion percentage. They've been really good this year. We've had them in the top 3 in our rankings. I mean, everyone basically has Miami as the top 3 team. This is where they can show it. Now, Florida State is got to come out with their hair on fire. Can that Miami defense that I just kind of raved about, going against number one offense in the country, keep it going? That's going to be the big question. Florida State having this game at home, that's a big advantage. Their fans have done really great. Can Florida State on their defensive side get to Carson Beck, though? I think Carson Beck is probably one of the best quarterbacks in the country right now, and a big reason why is he stays upright. When he's been in college for 6 years. I mean, when you give that guy time to throw, he's gonna pick you apart. And we've seen it so far earlier this year. Florida State's got about 9.5 sacks this year so far. So can they keep that up? I think it's a big question. But man, you look at Florida State, and I go back to the Alabama game. You know, it was raining. We've seen Alabama improve. Florida State's going to have that win, no doubt about it. I'm not going to take it away from them. They scored a lot of points, have the best offense, but was that competition great? I think Miami is going to win this game. I don't think they're going to cover that. I think Florida State's going to cover this 4.5. I think we're going to have a field goal type game here. Really close. I got another pick in this game later on for the over under. So I'll keep that in the bag, but I like I like this to be a really tight game.
So Garrison talked about how America's got this thing ranked as Miami's 2 or 3. There's been one thing consistent about my rankings. Unlike Jake, I try and actually honor the teams that deserve it. I think Miami is deserving of the number 1 record or the number 1 ranking. Yeah, let me start it back over. I think Miami is deserving of the number 1 ranking in the country. I think they passed the eye test better than anybody in the country. And Garrison talked about earlier too, staying upright with Carson Beck with a veteran quarterback is a recipe for success. Just go when you guys turn this game on Saturday night. Just look at the size difference between the guys that Miami's got up front and who Florida State's got up front, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you something. When they played Florida, and we know Florida's got a good defense, Florida's really big up front. We look like children compared to their left tackle. Okay, just him alone. Mr. Bell at left tackle, he's the size of a Mack truck. All right. And I think that is going to allow them to not only be able to protect Carson Beck and him let him do whatever he wants to, I think they're going to be able to run the ball in Florida State. So, I'm interested to see if Florida State's able to shake that loss that they just had on the road, which nobody necessarily really expected. Like, if you expected it, it's because you were hate watching. It wasn't because, like, oh, sure, yeah, Virginia's going to have the craziest field storming of all time tonight. And it's going to be because Tommy Castellanos played down. Well, we know he likes to play up in these big games. We'll see if his mouth can back up his play for once outside of that Alabama game. So, and look, we just what Alabama did the other night. You guys are going to tell me that team is nearly the same as what they were week 1? I don't think so. I think Bama's plugged and played a lot of problems and fixed them. And the quarterback, if you give him a chance for Bama, he's going to turn loose. And Florida State was able to run the ball until the cows came home against Bama in order to beat a really good team. They are not going to do that against Miami, I can assure you.
A couple other games going on. So we talked about the 2 big 3:30 games, Alabama and Vanderbilt at 3:30 on ABC, Texas and Florida, 3:30 ESPN. Can you tell me the 3:30 game on CBS this week? It's a
off the top of my Is it okay? All right. Well, when you're saying that, I'm trying to think of who like UCLA's playing. Honestly, that's who I'm trying to think of.
So UCLA is playing Penn State at home, and that is a CBS game.
There's not another better Big Ten game. Like, what is the Big Ten schedule this week? Are they just
we got Wisconsin at Michigan, but that's Big Moon kickoff, so they took that one. Illinois at Purdue. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to express. And the more I've been hate talking about the CBS thing, the more people are telling me that they just couldn't afford to keep the SEC, which would make sense, I guess. But
this seems like it's making them poor because nobody's tuning into your game.
Mississippi State's going to College Station, Texas this Saturday night. A lot of people are giving that Texas A&M a lot of credit because they beat Notre Dame. They beat Auburn last week. Everybody was saying
in an ugly fashion too.
Yeah, everybody saying, "Oh, their defense figured it out." I'm a little hesitant. I've seen a lot of good things out of Mississippi State offensively, and I don't think that defense at Texas A&M was figured out that quickly. So I think that's a good one to watch as well. Ohio State's got Minnesota at home. I don't think Ohio State's going to be losing a game anytime soon. Houston is hosting Texas Tech, something else to watch on Upset Alert. Houston is undefeated this year. Connor Wegman looking good out there, and Texas Tech's coming into town.
Yeah, another game that maybe need to be talked about, Louisville and Virginia. Louisville is 4-0 and unranked. Don't know how that works. They're hosting Virginia at home this week, who has cracked the top 25 and first time. And I mean, I don't even remember Virginia ever being in the top 25 personally. And that's probably big disrespect to their fan base. Sorry about it, Virginia fans, if you're listening. But I mean, it's just, you don't really see them at the 4-1 spot with a ranked win, a really big ranked win. So I think, sometimes, and again, we talk about the AP vote every week. Are they really the 24th best team in the country?
No, they just got a little bit of credit. I'm with you there. I'm definitely going to be picking Louisville, just so you know. Georgia is hosting Kentucky at noon on Saturday. That better be, I think the spread's like 20.5. That better be covered. We've usually played Kentucky good at home. I'm not really going to go into much detail about Georgia right now. I just want to see them bounce back. Let's get into another groove. That should be over by halftime. And then Clemson and North Carolina play this week. What do you think about that one? I mean, talk about two dumpster fires meeting up in the alleyway.
Well, man, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game to go to. For those in attendance, just, make sure you wear sunglasses because Jordan Hudson wears some bright colored clothes, and they're pretty small too, by the way. So we got to be careful. Watch where your eyes are going, especially taking your lady. Don't get distracted like Bill clearly has. Must win spot for Clemson. That's so weird to say, but this is definitely like if they lose to North Carolina, brother, you're talking about like there hasn't been a fireable offense that I would be like, okay, well, he's not going to get fired. If he loses to North Carolina in Chapel Hill on national TV, they might start procuring the cash to get a buyout going, brother. I mean, that would just be like a slit to the throat.
Would that be the
In
worst
my
loss
opinion.
of them all so far? Definitely.
I
Still
mean,
14.5-point favorites.
which I don't know who's smoking what. And the reason I'll tell you, honestly, looking at the slate, and we ain't gotten to our picks yet, there are so many underdogs this week that I just love. This is one of them. I think this is just a jewel of money. And if you're talking about even like a deep shot, this was on my short list for deep shots to take this week for North Carolina to do the thing. I'm not going to do it, though. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to rain on Dabo's parade. He's had it hard enough. You know, the media's giving him questions. He hasn't slammed down his fists on a table or said his quarterback sucks like Brian Kelly has, but, you know, maybe they right the ship. And you talking about talent? This ain't even close, folks. That it's amazing that this game is 14.5. If Clemson took care of business the way they should have this year so far, even if they lose LSU, this would be like a 30-point spread. But you know, Vegas and everybody else in America alike has got no confidence. I wouldn't be shocked if this number has shrank. I hadn't even looked and see where it opened at, but I would not be shocked if this number has went towards North Carolina during the week.
I don't know. I think it has gone towards Clemson, dude. I mean, I think a lot of people are on Clemson. I think I saw it earlier at 13.5. I'm not exactly sure. You need to double check me on that.
It was at 13, so it did open. It has swung a point in Clemson's favor. People, let me just look. The casinos are big enough, okay? The sports books are big enough. We don't need to be dumping money into Dabo. The same people that probably are doing this are the same ones that have bet on him the last 4 or 5 weeks. And have they covered yet this year?
These are just according to the ESPN tickets as low as. What do you think the lowest priced Power 4 game is this week? What conference do you think it's in?
It's got to be a Big Ten game out west.
Big 12 game. No, yeah, it's a Big 12 game.
Really? Well, we know it's not the Houston game. That's going to be probably the most expensive one in that conference. Colorado plays TCU this week. Am I right on that? That's probably not it, though. Colorado's going to pay the Bucks. I'm drawing a blank here. Who is it?
Oklahoma State at Arizona. $10 to get in. It's on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max.
Football games on HBO Max?
Dude.
I knew the CW was a problem, and, you know, we're talking about CBS. We got to get this stuff figured out, folks. Why are we showing games on TNT and HBO Max?
That is going to be a fun weekend of college football. I'm excited to sit down and watch. Personal story on back to living again, back to paying rent again. So, probably going to have me a nice little sit down and do what I want without, being homeless and having to worry about being in somebody else's way. You know what I mean? So excited about that.
Shouts to you, brother.
And I've got multiple screens around me, so excited. Let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about some previews before we bring in Ramsey for our picks. Before we get into the previews, we just got to talk about what happened today. So the Browns benched Joe Flacco, announced they're going to start Dylan Gabriel, and I think I posted the clip earlier of Shadur just doing
he's mute.
Look, say whatever you want to. I think it's a stupid move, but then the people are going to be like, "Well, he's proven the point. He says nothing, and you guys still get mad at him." I just want to know, Caleb, I'm not part of that culture, but what's going on with that hairstyle?
It's a little odd, a little different. I think.
What do they call that?
Let me go look it up for just to make sure I'm being safe here. I will say though, like as I'm trying to do my research on Shadur here, his move to just go into my mode seems to be a bit All right, well, I'm stunned by what's going on up top here. It looks like he's got cornrows and a tape line at the same time. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe, yeah. Maybe
he's got like the hair on top of your head, like up front, but then cornrows in the back.
Yeah, this is like a cherry Coke, dude. He's got 2 different flavors on top of his head right here. I really don't know what he's trying to do. To me, if he just cornrowed it all the way up, maybe his hair's too short in the front to braid. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's an odd pairing. There's more material. There you go, folks. Look up his hairstyle. And I don't like to dunk on people about their hair because, even everybody's got their own problems. Hell, I got my own problems with my hair. Yeah, I was expected to be balding at this point. We're still hanging on by a thread, I think. But anywho, there's more and more reason why to not start the guy. He made that bad of a decision right there with that hairstyle. What do you think he's going to do on the field? Come on, simple. You really have to say it about Dylan Gabriel being the starter. It's clear. It's probably cut and dry to everybody else in the room. It's probably an obvious choice to everybody else except for the people at home who never watch practice.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. They had to go to London as well to play this game. So should the Dylan Gabriel versus Carson Wentz in London on Sunday morning. I'll have a pick for that game a little later on. All right, 49ers and Rams for Thursday night football, though. Let's talk about it. Rams are minus 6.5, over under at 46.5. You remember having the last time these two teams played? It was Thursday night football last year. It was 12-6. You remember that game?
I do remember that game now that you said that. Yes, I do remember that game.
So far this season, both have top 5 offenses in the NFL. Both have top 10 defenses as well. So, they're pretty similar teams so far. Both 3-1. You listen to this couple San Francisco stats. They don't have a rushing TD yet this season with Christian McCaffrey as a running back. It's the first time since 1990 that they haven't had one since through 4 games. And they also have an NFL record 11 straight games without intercepting a pass on defense. So they haven't had, and it's an NFL record. The Giants had 11 straight games last year without one. So they're tied. So this could be a record-breaking game in a sense. Maybe pick but they're going against Matt Stafford. So is Matt Stafford going to be the one to throw the pick? That's something, maybe look at that line. Matt Stafford throwing an interception. It's a little juice I'm giving you. But look, Stafford and Puka Nacua, Avante Adams' offense has been clicking. The Rams are in great form. I really like what they got going on. Brock Purdy, he came back last week. I believe he should be good to play. It says questionable, but it seems like he's going to get to go. What are your thoughts, one, on Brock Purdy as a quarterback going forward, and two, on this game?
Well, first of all, on Brock Purdy, he's got to play to his level of pay. I think that is the most important thing. Like, if you're going to be signed, sealed, delivered by the names of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and the guy, you can go on and on and on about the people that are in San Francisco. Like, it's an elite building, elite franchise. And I don't know how many people really thought they were going to be that good this year. I think I came out and publicly said, I don't think they're going to be very good this year. And they're turn around, they're 3-1. He's got to be able to elevate a little bit more than what he's been doing. Now, he has had the old San Francisco injury bug to deal with. Not only has he dealt with his own stuff, but I mean, pretty much all of his receivers, like Ricky Pearsall, I think is the leading receiver for them. And I don't even know if he's going to play this week. So it's been a rough go so far this year. I personally wouldn't have paid the guy that much, but I'm also, once again, just like I said about Shedeur, I'm not in the building to know how awesome he is, just like I'm not in the building to know how much Shedeur sucks to be around. So, obviously they made a decision. I think that his stat line this year is not going to cut it. He's got just as many picks as touchdowns. That's abysmal. That is not $50 million worth of an athlete. That is closer to 10, maybe even 5. So they've got to improve. This is a big spot for them too, to be able to go to the Rams division game. If they win, pull out a game like this, I think everybody changes their narrative about whatever they got to say about Brock Purdy going forward.
All right, nice. What do you think is going to win right now? 49ers, Rams.
I'm taking the Rams. I mean, there's a team that I thought was going to win the Super Bowl, or at least go at the beginning of the year. If you guys remember, go back to my preview pod. I just believe in the offense and the quarterback, and they're in a much better spot health-wise too, which is huge in the NFL. A lot of people don't necessarily pick up on some of that stuff unless you're a fantasy owner. Obviously, it matters. But San Francisco is not going to have Brandon Ayuk anytime soon. Ricky Pearsall is out, or maybe to be determined. I think Jawan Jennings is hurt too. So that's just Purdy and McCaffrey on offense, pretty much, and George Kittle. Or is Kittle's out too?
Yeah, he's been out. He's been out for a little bit. Yeah, well, I think it says, Sean McVay's won 3 straight games against the 49ers, so we'll see if he makes it to 4. All right, let's talk about your team, the Pats. The Patriots are playing the Bills on Sunday Night Football in Buffalo. Bills are minus 7.5, over under at 48.5. Fun fact, Drake May has more passing yards than Josh Allen this year. Who's the better quarterback?
It's still not close, unfortunately.
Bills have the best pass defense in the league so far through the first 4 games, so that's going to be a struggle for a guy like Drake May, even though he has more passing yards. Is Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, what is that trio going to look like on Sunday night against an undefeated Bills team? Bills have one of the best rush offenses in the NFL. I think it's number 1. But the Pats have a really good rush defense. It's number 2 in terms of stopping the run. And then on the other side, the Bills are terrible, one of the worst teams in rush defense, and the Pats are really bad at running the ball offensively. So to circle it all back, this is going to be a game for the quarterbacks. It's going to be Josh Allen. It's going to be Drake May, who makes more plays with receivers like Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. Which one of these playmakers that I'm just naming names off of is going to be making more plays for this divisional round matchup? Mike Vrabel played the Bills a lot. He's familiar with them. Can the Pats pull off this upset on Sunday night, Caleb?
I think it's something definitely worth looking at. And I will say to those at home that they're looking at this game and they think, oh, there's no way. You would be shocked and amazed to know that the Patriots, even through their worst years, the last 4 or 5 years, have beaten the Bills once every year. And a couple of times it's been in Buffalo. Lest we forget the, I don't know, do you remember the big old win game where nobody was throwing the ball whatsoever?
Oh, dude,
Like
that
it
was
was
a
like
Monday Night
60 mile an
Football,
hour
dude.
games. Yeah, that's a dub right there. So, like, you continue to see those games happen in Buffalo. We never know what the weather's going to be like or what can go on. But I've got a head coach and I've got a quarterback, and that's about as good as you can have it in the NFL as a bare bones situation. Obviously, we definitely want more out of Diggs and Kayshawn, and for Kayshawn to stay healthy too. But I just don't see it at this point in the season. You know, the Patriots, if their run game was a little better and they didn't have issues fumbling the football and turning it over, handing it off. I mean, Drake May is not the source of their problems whatsoever. I mean, he's playing good football, but the Bills are just a wagon, man. I believe that they are, without a doubt, the best team in the AFC right now. So they can do it. I'm going to be obviously tuned in, locked in what's going on, excited to actually see my team on prime time. I think your team has already gotten a little action of this year, so it's now my turn. I want to see what they've got on the road against Buffalo when nobody's thinking they can win. And if they do, hey, I won't be shocked because it's NFL, but I will be shocked because I think Buffalo's way better than them. So
Kind of rooting for you. Hope it goes well for you. Falcons are on a bye this week. They got the Bills next week on Monday Night Football in Atlanta. Chiefs and Jags, which Jake was here to talk about this. Chiefs and Jags are going to play on Monday night. Jags right now are plus 3.5, over under at 46.5. Chiefs still can't run the ball. That is a huge problem. But you know who can? Travis Etienne, averaging 98 yards a game this year. In the big year, I really feel like a lot of people were giving up on that guy. The last 2 seasons, it seemed like things were not going well. Tank Bigsby was out there. He's not even on the team anymore. Obviously, the Chiefs coming on that big win against the Ravens. Can Mahomes and Xavier Worthy keep it up? You know, we questioned how big of a difference was Xavier Worthy going to make. He made a huge difference last week, and we'll see if they can keep that going. Will him being back kind of open other things up, like Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, the whole crew? On the Jag side, they're 3-1. Probably the biggest thorn in their side this year is that Brian Thomas has just really not been living up to the sophomore hype that he was getting. He has 12 catches on 32 targets. That's a big problem. I think they've still had good quarterback play out of Trevor. Like I said, they've ran the ball really well with ETN. But can they put their big boy pants on, win a game at home on Monday Night Football?
man, you know, it's just such a mixed bag for the Kansas City Chiefs because, like, they've looked terrible, and then they look awesome against the Ravens last week, which you think is like a pretty decent team, but you look up, they're 1-3, so we don't really know who they are. I think the Jaguars, they may have a statement game on their hands right here, though, because I still think like the Chiefs are about the same as what they were. Now, let me go ahead and clarify something for everybody at home. If you think Patrick Mahomes is any slightly resembling the problem for the Kansas City Chiefs, you are so far wrong that you are in China right now compared to where this podcast is being recorded for us right now. He has been playing ball. I talk about the All 22 all the time. Go look at the All 22 of Patrick Mahomes this year, and it has been incredible as usual. So he'll obviously have to put more of the Superman cape on, I think, going forward this year, and I think he's probably starting to realize that. You might see a different Patrick Mahomes come out of this guy, you know, for the next couple of weeks, because if they don't, this thing gets dicey quick. I mean, if you stare down, if you're 4-4 at week 8, you're not in a good position. And the Chiefs are not used to being in bad spots like that early in the season. So this probably feels like a must win in Mahomes' mind. I think this is probably must win territory for Andy Reid to be preaching to the team this week. And if anybody has any respect for how coaches handle themselves in the league, I'm sure Andy Reid wants to get one in on Liam Cohen for telling somebody to keep their name out their bleeping mouth at midfield last week. That was ultimate disrespect. I understand he was talking about his cheating scandal or whatever, but like, dude, you're a rook head coach and you're barking at Robert Saleh of all people and Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, probably not on his good side.
Granddad's going to give him a spanking, huh?
Yeah, this is the warden of the prison right here coming into town and showing you who's really boss. You can do all this cute shit with Chris Godwin and whoever else you want to, but your best receiver looks like garbage right now. You are running the football, but Liam Cohen was a pass game guy, and they're not, you know, elite in that department right now. So we'll see. Chiefs defense is still decent, by the way. Nobody talks about that. It's really just offenses had very little production. And Isaiah Pacheco plays way too much. I mean, this guy was running backwards a couple weeks ago. He's still out there.
All right. We talked about it earlier with the college games. What do you think the cheapest NFL game is this week?
Well, it's got to be the Saints. Saints Giants. I've got that on my picks this week as a
Saints
thing.
Giants, $19 to get into the
What?
stadium. Yep, 19
I've
bucks.
never seen. I don't think I've ever seen an NFL ticket under
I've seen Falcons one.
$60.
I've seen Falcons ones pretty low. I mean, I
Like
think I've seen,
$20 though?
yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them lower than that. I've seen Falcons one pretty low. Um, Falcons,
That's incredible that we're in the first week of October and your games tickets are like for $20. It's not even like they're not way out of it. They're not 3-10 or something like that. No, it's just like sell the team. Nobody wants to watch this.
Spencer Rattler with no wins, 0-10. Nobody want. I mean, $20 though. You get to go see Cam Scatterbo play, huh?
Cam Scatterbo is going to get the ball a lot in this game too because Malik Neighbors is out. Shout out MetLife Stadium turf for that one. And it's another Jackson Dart party.
Man, other games around the league, just to wrap up real quick. The Seahawks are playing the Buccaneers. That's going to be an all-time jersey game. Do you see that? They're both wearing the throwbacks.
Yeah, those are going to be sick.
Bucks are wearing the creamsicles, and the Seahawks are wearing like I don't even know what you call those. The bright blue and the gray.
They're the jerseys that they wore in the 90s and stuff. I mean, it's going to be an actual jersey game. You know, a lot of people probably looked at this game. If you were scouring the schedule early in the season, you saw Bucks, Seahawks in Seattle. You were not thinking that like these two teams would be battling it out for arguably first place in the whole conference. And here we are.
That's a big one. And then Denver's going to Philadelphia too. That one's the highest ticket on Sunday, $276 to get in.
Yeah, watch that one from home.
All right, let's get into our picks. Let's welcome in Cameron Ramsey, Week 6 picker. How we doing?
I'm good. Appreciate you having me on. I made some pretty awful picks last year, so thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Well, look, in terms of
Where's Jake at?
Jake is
That's a great question, dude. That's a really good question.
You still running? You still running?
They're still upset about the loss last week. That's what some are saying. Well, I will say, I think you can do better than we had our last guest picker that we had. Zach Schiffer went a solid 2-3, but he missed his lock. The guest pickers are 1-4 on their lock so far this year. So
1-4.
1-4.
Good for Zach though. I mean, he went into there over. I mean, he's in the New Orleans Saints position. He was Spencer Rattler last week in here picking these games, and he was able to get a couple of dollars. Good for him. He ruined my lock though, which I'm gonna have a word with him whenever I see him at the deep shot party here pretty shortly.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Good luck to everyone here. I'll start it off. My favorite this week, and Caleb brought up a little bit ago when we were talking about some other random games around the country, Louisville, Virginia. I'm going to be going Louisville minus 6.5 here. You talked about Louisville not being ranked. I think they're a lot better than teams people are giving them credit for so far. I think Virginia being ranked, that's a nice story for them. You win a big game like that, you get to sit in the back 20s for a week. But I think Louisville head to toe is a better team than Virginia. I think Louisville's defense is going to be the best one that Virginia's seen yet this season. And I think this game being at Louisville, they're ready to go. It's a total letdown spot. How does Virginia know how to handle a big win like that? I'm going to be going with Louisville minus 6.5 here to start it off hot.
Shout out Duke Watson, by the way. One of my guys is toting the mail for the Louisville Cardinals. My first favorite, we're going to do the same thing we did last week, but it's kind of a redemption story. This is going to be my lock of the week too. And if you guys remember, I just told you about how my lock last week got jinxed. It was Florida State on Friday night. I hated doing it as a Gator fan, and I was rewarded for it. So you know what? I'm going to bet against them this week. I'm taking Miami minus 4.5 against Florida State in their place. Don't give a damn. I hope the horse falls over. The Indian guy needs to be all right. I hope Mr. Seminole himself is okay. But, the horse, yeah, if he stumbles in midfield, oh, so be it. Let's not catch the field on fire or anything like that. We want to keep people safe. But I want this game to be domination by Miami. And honestly, because one, they whooped our ass. And two, I hate Florida State. I can't stand them. And I also feel really good about this outside of all the fandom stuff because I've told you, and I'll tell you again, I think Miami is the best team in the country, hands down. They should be able to move the ball on this team. They should be able to stop on defense. And if Tommy Castellanos has to throw the ball a bunch in order for them to have success, they're going to lose. And I know that sounds crazy, but I heard a stat today. He is like 0 in his career when he throws for over like 250 yards. Because if he has to do that, probably not a good game plan for them.
I like that. I like that a lot. I know I did say Florida State was going to cover, but I like that earlier. I said that, but I like that stat you just threw out there about Thomas Castellanos. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that Alabama game, he threw for like 100 yards, maybe.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He had to throw for a ton of yards against Virginia the other day in order to keep him in the game too, and then look how that worked out. If they can't get the run game going on Miami, it's not going to happen.
All right.
Yeah, tough scenes out there.
All right, go your favorite underdog, Ramsey.
Oh, my favorite this week. If you know anything about me, this pick is probably going to surprise you. I was in Athens last week, and I saw the Dogs go down. As much as I love to see that, and I know there's a lot of people out there who think there's blood in the water now, but I'm just going to tell you, it ain't going to happen. I got Georgia minus 20.5 back at home. Fun fact, they're 33-1 in their last 34 games at home. Yeah, I think they're going to come out. They're going to be pissed off about last week. They got a lot to prove for themselves. Kentucky has been less than impressive. I think Kirby's got the boys in shape this week. I'll take them 20.5. That is also my lock.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right.
Tech fans are locking Georgia around here. What are we doing?
Also, just an
I hate Georgia, but I like money more.
Just an impressive story that we probably haven't talked about, but I mean, the way that Ramsey was able to get into that game on Saturday, Caleb, this guy walked right in.
Walked right in. Saw the game for free. Free.
Are you serious?
Walked right in.
Where'd you sit at, or did you stand up?
I hung out with Gary Lawson for majority of the first half. I'd say about halfway through the second, got kicked from the seats, and then just hung out under the jumbotron. It was a great
time to be alive.
Hey, credit to Georgia fans too. They showed up to the very last whistle. Electric atmosphere.
Yeah,
except that.
What is with the all quiet on the Western Front thing? Like I saw it. I finally figured it out. They posted a TikTok like in August of them like doing a hype video to the same theme music. Is that like the whole thing?
I don't know, dude. It was so silly. It was every second down too. Like I said, like it wasn't even every third down. And then I saw some video today, and it was like when you hire a TikToker to do the music, and it was just and then it's just the lights were going off. Anyway,
that one episode you said it was every second. I think it was every down.
It felt like it on the TV. Watching it at home, dude, that's all I could hear.
It was in my head on the way home.
All right, what's your underdog?
I'm gonna go against you here, Caleb. I got Florida State plus 4.5. I think this game is going to be an absolute thriller. I think it's going to be pretty close. I really don't see how this isn't the college game day game. Talk about SEC bias. Anyways, FSU just came off a tough loss, so I think they've got a lot to prove, a lot more to prove than Miami does. It's at home, night game. Chop's going to be chopping. Give me the Noles.
Speaking of Chop's going to be chopping, RIP Brian Snicker for the Atlanta Braves.
I'm going to have something for that later, by the way.
All right, Caleb, what's your underdog?
So I told you I was going to be a game time decision. I'm taking the Gators. I just have to. It's just a vibes pick, folks. I'm just trying to create good vibes. I'm picking against Florida State. I'm picking the Gators. We're thinking Miami is, we played them pretty tight. Maybe they are the best team in America. Maybe they go out and beat FSU like FSU beat East Texas A&M or whoever the hell whatever high school they played a couple weeks ago. I'm going to take Florida plus 6.5. You can say what you want to. The Swamp at 3:30 in the fall is a tough place to play, and they better be glad it's not noon. It's also going to be loud. It's going to be the most intimidating environment Arch Manning has seen. Yeah, I said it. That place is going to be probably rocking just as hard as Ohio State would for the opening game, because that's what Florida fans do every week. And I fully expect this game to be tight. I wouldn't be shocked if the final is 21-17. To me, it would be the highest scoring that it could possibly go in my book. And if you were scared, if you're timid about the pick, you're not believing the message and what I'm trying to set forth here, just buy half a point. Just buy the hook, play it up, little worse odds. However, you're going to feel a little bit better when you put your head down tomorrow night as you're going into Saturday for the game. So give me the Gators.
All right. Look at that little homer pick. What do you know? Just to update these records that I was talking about earlier for these picks through 5 weeks, I am 14-10 overall. 3-2 on locks, 0-4 on my deep shot. I haven't hit one yet. Caleb, you're 13-11 overall, 2-3 on locks, 1-3 on deep shots. You haven't sent a lot of kids to college lately. Jake, 11-13, 3-2 on locks, 2-2 on deep shots, and our guest pickers are 13-11, 1-4 on locks, 2-2 on deep shots. Jake is worse than the guest pickers this year, and that's with Zach last week. So my underdog of the week is going to be Houston. Plus 10.5 against Texas Tech, number 11 ranked Texas Tech. We know they had that big win 2 weeks ago against Utah. I really haven't heard anything about him since. Connor Wegman, starting quarterback for Houston out there. Willie Fritz is the head coach. Nice little 1-2 combo, if you ask me. Really experienced ball knowers out there in Houston. What's that look for, Caleb?
Well, I'm just kind of looking around trying to see. There was a little discussion about what stadium they're going to play in. Would you guess the name of their stadium?
Oh, Cougar Stadium?
That is incorrect. It is the Cage. That's the nickname, but they call it TDECU Stadium. Yeah, do you think you can figure out what that one is either?
No.
There's no way. Yeah. Okay, so their stadium is called the Texas Dow Employees Credit Union Stadium. What the worst name in college football for a stadium got to be.
Oh my God. That is
Let's do a fact check.
That is
a fact check on that one.
Oh my God. That is pretty bad. But what I will say is they're a feisty team. They're undefeated. And I think they're going to cover the plus 10.5 against Texas Tech on Saturday night. All right. My over this week, I'm going to be going, this is my lock of the week as well. I'm going to be going with Boise State, Notre Dame, over 63.5. Look, if you've been watching Notre Dame, and I've actually bet this is my over the last 2 weeks of Notre Dame games. Sorry. I did Arkansas, Notre Dame last week. Week before that, I did Arkansas. I was on Arkansas. So I'm back-to-back weeks with Notre Dame here. But Notre Dame has scored tons of points. They scored 56 last week on Arkansas alone. They scored like 49 in the first half. If you've watched Boise since they've played South Florida in week 1, they scored over 45 points in every single game since then. Notre Dame's defense, while it looked okay against Arkansas last week, overall has struggled. I think Boise's going to have a good game plan to go in there, at least put up 20. And I think Notre Dame's offense, I think Notre Dame's one of those teams that's just on a mission to blow everybody out and get as many style points as they can for those to substitute for those 2 losses they have. And I think they keep up with it on Saturday. I really like it. These Notre Dame total overs have been hitting all year long. They hit in the Miami game. They hit in the Texas A&M game. Hit in the Purdue game. Hit last week in the Arkansas game. So why not keep it going? I'm going to go with Notre Dame, Boise, over 63.5. Locking.
I like that. I like that a lot. My over is going to go to where game day's at this week. I'm taking Bama Vandy to go over 56.5. Probably seems like a spot where you would maybe guess the under. Garrison, I know, is alluding to how the defenses play, but my thinking on this is Vanderbilt don't give a shit what color jerseys you got. They're not going to care that the A's on the helmet. They're not going to care that they're on the road. They're going to play football and sell out to try and beat this team and win this game. That's just Clark Lee's mentality. And if they're going to do that, I think Vandy's going to have a lot of tricks up their sleeve. I would feel very confident in saying I think Vanderbilt's going to score 25 points at least on this crew. I mean, if you go back to last year, Vandy scored 40 on them. All right, and it's the same defensive staff. Maybe there's some better players in the building. I'd probably think not, considering that Saban had just had his defense there. But 56.5 points, Bama's going to run it up no matter who they play, I think. I mean, if Ty Simpson was able to do that against Georgia this past Saturday in Athens, I think he's going to very handedly throw for 350 yards at home or 300 plus just about every week. I think the world of that guy, honestly. As a quarterback, not many people doing it better, so I'll take the over in this game.
My over this week, I got Minnesota, Ohio State, over 45.5. Obviously, a low number is just attractive as it is. I mean, both these teams, granted, there's some outliers on their schedule, but both these teams are averaging 36 points per game. Ohio State's going to win this game, but I think they're going to give up some points as well to Minnesota. Yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah. What's your under?
Under. Going back to Tallahassee, Florida State, Miami, under 53.5. I think both these teams have shown to have some pretty tough defenses, not allowing very many points in any of the games. Yeah, both these teams are going to be fighting really hard for that ACC title game spot against Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in December. So they're going to be duking it out. I think it's going to be a low scoring, tight game.
Do you legitimately think like whoever wins this game is the team that you guys are going to play? Like it's kind of set in stone. Is that your mindset as a Buzz fan?
Yeah, that's my mindset.
You don't have to play either one of these teams, do you?
Yeah, neither one of them on the regular schedule. I think it's the do or die moment for Florida State season, really.
Is it though? Because like they were like 1-11 last year, wherever the hell they were. Like it was just bad. But I'm with you. Like in terms of like major success, like turning the page completely on what was going on. Yeah, 11-1 with a win against Miami would look sweet on the schedule. Well, no, you know what? Let's go back 10-2. Florida loss at the end of the season. For my
I think
under
10-2, third place ACC is gonna make the playoff. Maybe a 10-2 runner up.
for my under this week, I'm going with Texas Tech and Houston, game that Garrison was talking about, under 51.5, and I'll tell you why. I think Texas Tech's got some dudes on defense. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit as much as they can. And I know Connor Wegman looked pretty decent against whoever the hell they were playing the other night and beat him by a field goal. Was it BYU or something? I see that game, or what? They were playing somebody during a weekday, I think, last week or the week
They're
before.
playing Oregon State.
That's what it was. And Oregon State should have beat them. That should have been their first win of the year, Spencer Rattler. And instead, they're still sitting there, same spot they are. Look, I just fully believe this is more so a pick for Texas Tech and their just sheer talent. I think offensively they're going to be able to score points, and defensively they may even create some points on Connor Wegman. That guy's never been that great of a quarterback in my opinion, so I'll take the under in that game.
All right. My under is going to be Florida State, Miami as well. What did you have it at, Ramsey?
53.5.
That's okay. That's what I got it as well. Talked about it earlier. Miami's got one of the better defenses in the country compared to what they had last year. And I think Florida State has 10 sacks this year so far. I think they're going to be able to get at Carson Beck with the home crowd. They're going to be sending some blitzes. It's going to be tight. I really like what Randy said earlier about that game. I think it's going to be a really good game on Saturday night. I think it might be the best game of the weekend. So I'm going to go under 53.5 there as well. All right, my deep shot of the week. I'm heading back to College Station, Texas. Send your kids to college pick right here, as Caleb likes to say. Look, I had said it earlier when we were talking about college. I said, I don't know if this Texas A&M hype that I'm hearing, I get it. They beat Notre Dame. They get that win. But they beat Auburn last week, 16-10. Mike Elko was talking about, we got the defense figured out. 4-0 for first time since 2016. Meanwhile, Mississippi State played a game last week that they really feel like they should have won against Tennessee. I think they're going to bounce back. It's plus 450. I mean, that's a big number, and I think A&M's getting a lot of credit. And I still don't know if that defense is fixed just because they got to play Jackson Arnold. And I still don't know if Marcel Reed, is that great of a quarterback when he's still not really completing more than 50% of his passes. So with all that said, I think Mississippi State's got a lot to prove. They're going to be angry about last week. They're like 14.5-point dogs here too. I'd take the spread there as well. But I like Mississippi State plus 450. I think they can win this game outright.
I was pointing at the screen. We're talking about sending your kids to college. Send two of them to college this week because I'm on the same wavelength. I'm on the same trade as Garrison. If there was going to be any game, there's no other game I was picking a deep shot in. When I saw Mississippi State at plus 4 something, it was an immediately write that down. Like SpongeBob had to when Patrick was. That's exactly what I did when I saw this game. Okay. Just for the fact that I think Jeff Lebby is a better coach than what most people think. Mississippi State's kind of like the little brother out west of here, I guess you'd call it. And also they've never really been relevant outside of Dak Prescott and Dan Mullen being there. So obviously they're going to get the doubt. But you guys thought Tennessee was pretty damn good. Tennessee went to overtime with Georgia. And they had to do it with Mississippi State, too. This team's going to have a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. Don't give a damn if it's in College Station or not. I think Mississippi State's, if there's anybody that's got a chance to pull off a really big upset this week, it's them. So, plus 450. Rolling with it. What you got, Cameron?
This deep shot, this was a pretty tough pick. I liked a lot of the plus 190 teams, plus 220 teams. We caught up on the episodes, and I know it's not juicy enough for you, Caleb.
Thank you.
And then I was looking at Mississippi State plus 450, but that just wasn't juicy enough. So after your two kids graduate college, you might as well buy them a house because I got Georgia State plus 850 against James Madison University. There was a lot of hype surrounding this Georgia State team before the season started. They've kind of failed to live up to it. So I think they're due to pull off the unthinkable. Home game in Atlanta. I think
we should go.
It's in Atlanta. I think these James Madison white boys are gonna be in for a culture shock. Maybe get bullied a little bit here in Atlanta. So yeah,
dude, especially
Panthers,
on that side of town, dude. I mean, they're down there in the
South
jungle.
side.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be dicey at best. Bunch of milk checking going on out there.
Yeah.
All right, well that's great. That was also it's funny. Randy texted me earlier and he was like, "It's plus 140 low, like too low." I was like, "You can go that low if you want." He just hit a 360 on that. He just said, "Nope, we'll go as high as I can buy."
I like it though. I like it.
All right, let's do our NFL best bets before we get out of here. I'll start it off. He talked about the Shedeur Sanders thing going on earlier. Well, Dylan Gabriel's going to be a starting quarterback for the Browns on Sunday, and he's going to London, and he's going to play Brian Flores in the Vikings defense. Vikings are minus 3.5 right now. That might be of all of the picks that I'm going to say, that might be the easiest one, if you ask me. I know that the Vikings lost the Steelers last week in Dublin. It's crazy they have to go from Dublin to London now to play this game. But, I mean, there's no way that Dylan Gabriel is going to be able to sauce up this Vikings defense with Brian Flores. And how everybody always says Brian Flores is such a great defensive coordinator. Well, he got kind of sauced up by the 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers last week. But this, 24-year-old Dylan Gabriel, who can barely see over the offensive line, I don't see it happening. So I'm going to go with the Vikings -3.5 is my first one.
I love that pick. For mine, I'm going with a player prop. I'm changing it up. If you guys have paid attention this year, I've only taken spreads in the NFL, but one guy has convinced me to bet on them a little bit. The Cowboys are going to New York this week, and if you know anything about the Jets allow some points. I saw Dak Prescott under passing yards at 239.5. And that was at -114. Are we asleep at the wheel here? This guy's playing as good as any other NFL quarterback in the country, and he's been able to dish it out. It don't matter if it's George Pickens, if it's Jake Ferguson, if it's CeeDee Lamb, doesn't matter. Javonte Williams, well, they're going to find ways to score points, and he is going to play really, really sharp football. So I'm taking his over this week at -114 at 239.5.
Nice.
All right, give us two.
I'm going to start with two spreads. The first one being the Chargers, 2.5 back home against the Commanders. They started their season off pretty well. Had a tough loss in New York last week. I think Justin Herbert and the boys are going to bounce back at home. Second pick, kind of similar to what Gary was saying about his game. I think this one's easy money. Eagles are only 3.5-point favorite over the Broncos. I think the Broncos have been a little better than people anticipated, but I mean, the Eagles undefeated, home game for them as well. Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, no backdoor if anything, dude. I mean, they'll probably block a kick again. They've had like 4 block kicks in the last 2 weeks. It's insane.
Insane special team clip. And also, too, you're talking about kicking game. The team that has also gotten bit in the ass by that is their opponent this week. Denver's lost 2 games on field goals this year, and they're last seconders.
Yeah, so. And did you see I don't know, Caleb, did you see the video of Vic Fangio talking about the balls that they're kicking with nowadays in the NFL?
Okay, well, I did not see the video, but I'm about to go look this up on Twitter right now. I was talking to somebody the other day about this, like that when did and I think you brought this up on the pod before, but after you said it, I started watching kicks. I was like,
balls are curving like crazy. Well, because now
that ball went 3 different directions.
Apparently, the balls nowadays, I
thought they got weights in them.
Maybe, dude. So apparently, it used to be like just the game balls that the refs use. They rub them down, you use them. Apparently now, like they can use specific balls to kick. Like they can keep them on the sidelines, and then whenever they're going to kick, they can just go pull those out. And so they're just like fresh, untouched balls. Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, was talking about it, and he was comparing it to like the steroid era of baseball, like saying, yeah, it's like when McGuire and Sosa, they were hitting all those home runs back then. Everybody couldn't figure out why. Now these kickers are hitting 65, 70 yarders,
balls.
Yeah. So kickers might be on roids in the NFL.
Yeah. What are they doing? Juicing the footballs? I mean, are they putting, how is this? Like, I understand Brent Aubrey's good. It just makes me shocked to believe that there's like a New York Yankees baseball versus a Braves baseball.
And they curve, dude. These balls now that they kick them and they're like sliders. Like they just come back in.
Yeah. Right? And sometimes they'll go back the other direction.
It's like a slice in golf. Like it comes and then it comes back around. All right, Caleb, what's your second one?
All right, my second pick this week is going to be a Spencer Rattler hate watch. Let's pay your $20. You know what? In fact, just save your $20 that you're going to pay to go to this game. We talked about the ticket price earlier. Throw it on New York +1.5. I know they don't have Malik Neighbors. I know they don't have, necessarily a great team. But have you seen New Orleans play? Have you seen Spencer Rattler play? Do you think he's that guy? The answer is probably no to all 3 of those, by the way. And I can tell you for sure, I can guarantee you the last one is a true no. And so I'm going to pick the Giants this week. And it's Scatterbo and Jackson Dart. New York's got something to believe in right here with 2 exciting whites.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. 2 exciting whites, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. All right. I actually literally had the exact same Dak Prescott prop written down that you had, Caleb. So that's my second one, over 239.5. Good knowledge there. We're on the same wavelength there. Well, my last one is going to be the Lions Bengals over 49.5. The Lions are on a tear offensively ever since week 1. They have just been running it up, scoring over 30 points a game. And the Bengals, they have this game at home. They haven't played great the last 2 weeks, but they went against Brian Flores for the Vikings, and they went against Sean Payton and the Broncos, two of the better defenses in the league. We can't really say that about the Lions, really. And I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they've been getting a little upset. So I think there's going to be some points to be scored in Cincinnati by both squads. I'm going to be taking the over 49.5. The spread in that one is 10.5 too, if anybody was just wondering. But that's my last one. What you got, Caleb?
My final pick is going to be on a team that I think a lot of other people are probably giving up on, but maybe I don't know. It's like one of those cat ladies, you know what I mean? You just cannot have enough cats. I can't get enough Baltimore Ravens right now. I've got to have the Ravens plus 1.5 against the Houston Texans, who, by the way, I understand that the Ravens defense is, let's just call it what it is. Shit. It's been trash, garbage, insert, derogatory statement here. The Houston Texans, not only are they bad up front, I don't know if you guys saw this, but they traded a left tackle this week.
Yeah.
So, maybe addition by subtraction is what they're trying to accomplish there. I just don't think it's going to get much better for their situation in terms of keeping C.J. Stroud upright. And if they can't keep C.J. Stroud upright, how are they going to run the ball? Answer is no to both. I think this is a steal of a game. I don't understand how Houston is favored. I don't care if it's home, away, or what. It's actually a home game for the Ravens. And the Houston Texans are 1-3 and favored over them.
Yeah.
What's going on in there?
Texans only. Well, I mean, Lamar may not play.
That's what I was about to ask. Does Lamar play?
You got to still think like Derrick Henry over all of that stuff is going to be able to overcome some of this. And they're still going to put an NFL quarterback out there.
Cooper Rush.
Okay, maybe a USFL quarterback.
All right, what's your last one, Ramsey?
The last pick, I know you were hating earlier, Gary. I got Dylan Gabriel over half a passing touchdown. I think you got a big debut coming. I'm not going to sit there and act like he's some future generational NFL talent, but I think he's got one in him. At least one.
At least one.
So were you the guy that picked him up in the Dynasty League this morning? Because I saw somebody made that move, and I was, was Cam Ram.
To be fair, my second QB, Jordan Love, was on bye this week, so I didn't have a super flex.
Yeah, well, I wish you'd have dropped somebody better, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even remember who I dropped.
Who was
Christian Kirk. I need some better athletes than that guy, though. I mean, I need
Dude, these bye weeks, coming into play now. I hate that.
I was looking ahead. I got like 5 starters on bye when I play Caleb.
Thank you. I need some help, brother. I've had the most points scored against me in that league, I think.
Well, all right. That'll wrap up our picks for week 6 of college football, week 5 of the NFL. Shout out to Ramsey for joining us. We'll see if the guest pickers can keep it going. Again, we miss you, Jake. It's been a long week. You had to come to Atlanta, not even see your friend Gary, and then go back today. So I know it's tough, but we got a job to do here too. But we'll see you. Will you see you again soon? Caleb, you got anything you want to say before we head out of here?
Yeah, I've got to give Brian Stickner some flowers before this gets away from us too far. And, maybe Jake will want to say something on here too whenever he gets a chance. Probably should put something out on the socials about it. But Snicker, anybody didn't know, he resigned, or not necessarily resigned. I don't know if he got fired. I don't know. I think it's really a retirement. And he said in his press conference day he was coming out, and it was like he signed his extension 3 years ago, and he thought this was going to be his last year the entire time. And he kind of questioned it this last month because he thought, the clock's kind of running out on him and maybe want to make a decision to come back. But anywho, stays within the building. He's going to advise us in the front office, which I never know what that actually really means. I think he's just going to kind of be like somebody that can unlock the door whenever he wants to. And if he wants to come in and work, so be it. I definitely think he's going to be involved in picking the next manager. Excited to see who that's going to be. But for the guy himself,
Freddie Gonzalez?
Please, for the love of God, please no. I do have some people in mind. I think there's some obvious candidates that, like you're talking about, what the Braves usually would
Ron
do,
Washington?
should do. Yeah, Ron's out there.
He gets fired the same day. Might be an inside job.
Something's aloof, I think, a little bit on that. And also a name to keep an eye on. I'm going to put this out there for the ether. Kevin Seitzer, former hitting coach for the Atlanta Braves, was the hitting coach for Seattle Mariners this year. Experienced a ton of success. Don't you think?
I'm saying
it'd
Mark
be an idea?
DeRosa.
But people have been saying Mark DeRosa for like 2 years, dude. This guy loves Team USA too much for him to coach the Braves, I think. But regardless of all that, I think that Snicker in the last 2 years has taken a ton of flack. And I think, in fact, like this year, a lot of people just stopped watching the Braves, so they didn't really have anything to criticize him over because they were like, we'll sell the team anyways. But there ain't been a couple managers in Atlanta Braves history win a World Series, and he's already third. He only coached us for 10 years, and he's third on the all-time wins list. So the guy deserves his flowers. I am already looking for a Snicker jersey. I've been looking for one for years because I think that guy does not get the respect that he deserves for being able to not only keep such a young clubhouse together all these years and get them to love and grow into each other and be great teammates for each other, but also experience success. I mean, this is the first year we've missed the playoffs since I was in high school, which is crazy. But he's made the Braves the new standard of baseball. I mean, it was 2-3 years ago that we were talking about everybody was the envy. Everybody envied what the Braves position was with all the young players and how they manage the game and how they run the organization. And he runs the building. So I think a lot of that stuff starts with him. So hate to see him go. He's had a great career, 50 years with the Braves, in fact. Was one of the last people left in the building that were, any sort of tight with Hank Aaron or Bobby Cox at 80 points. You're talking about the nostalgia of what Braves baseball is. He embodied that, and he was able to win while he was here too. In that 2021 World Series run, brother, he didn't make a mistake. I don't know. Obviously, you're not going to go back and watch it, but that dude was flawless for us to win a World Series, and the players played well enough for us to do it. So hats off to him. Enjoy your trip to Hawaii in your brand new truck, which is what the Braves gave him.
Chop on. Chop on. All right. Well,
I'm into Hawaii.
No.
Never been. I do have my funny enough.
That's
This is crazy.
Driving to Hawaii.
Oh.
Well, I thought you said you ever
Ocean.
been.
I said, are you driving to Hawaii?
Delta gave up first round, their first class seat for him and his wife round trip. Talking about Hawaii, and this could probably round out the pod. I've got a family member of mine who I had a conversation about a month ago, and she was talking about how she was going to Hawaii. The reason why I was shocked by that is because that same family member's on a cruise right now. Like right now, and she's flying to Hawaii in like a week and a half. Somebody paid for her, like another person, one of her friends and family member, paid for her to go to Hawaii for like 12 days.
Well,
that's a big commitment. That's the thing. That's what I'm looking for. I'm wondering if they're going out there and she's going to, end up on like a banana farm or something, or the plane's going to be, yeah, I think, yeah, we're looking to make sure she doesn't end up on 60 Minutes in the process of this in the afternoon. I'm not sure. I think maybe they're just going out there and have a good time.
Maybe they're just going to watch a Hawaii game.
They playing on the island this weekend?
Or are they playing on the island this weekend?
I'm not sure, but if they do, they need to go see that quarterback. I mean, we haven't said a peep about Hawaii since week 0, by the way. But they got to at least last time I checked, which was a month and a half ago, they got a quarterback. So she probably should go check that out.
All right. Well, that'll wrap up episode 16 of the Deep Shot Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Deep Shot out.